Well, hello, my name is Ralph and welcome to the channel. It's my time, let's go. Today we've got a little bit of a different project on the go. We've got this old Softail. Now I know I say my channel is mostly about vintage bikes, but this bike is a 2000, so as of next year it will be a legally registered antique here. And it has a few little idiosyncrasies that differ from the 2001 and up. We're going to put a complete S&S kit in this with cams, new hydraulic tensioners, and all those sort of things that go along with it. And I hope you enjoy this as much as the others. Like I say, it is an older machine, so we'll see where we can get with it. Also, if you haven't taken the time to do so, hit the like button, leave us some comments, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us to grow and keeps us moving along and enabled us to be able to do these sort of things. So what we've got here to use today is a complete kit from S&S. It comes in the box. It's got everything that you need in here to do the complete change. This would be the 0925-1106, and this is for the earlier models, and comes with, for the chain drive models, we're not changing over to gear drive on these, and we can't really because of the type of system that's in it. But the S&S comes with everything that you need in the box, so I'm sure it's going to be a pleasure to put in, and I'm sure it's going to be a great kit for this bike. So let's have a look. It's well packaged, I'll give them that. Kit comes with engine lube, much needed engine lube. Two packages of it to make sure that everything is lubed up well. We also comes with the cam plate. And there's our cam plate. And the nice thing about this is that things are numbered so that you can torque them down in sequence as they're supposed to be. So that's a great thing. The new upgraded oil pump, such as like the 07s and up, is a much needed change from the early models, especially which really didn't pump oil sufficiently. Our cams. We have our set of cams for it, front and rear. It also has a new set of lifters in here, which should really be replaced after a long period of time. So the S&S lifters are great. It also comes with the full set of push rods, the clips that you need, all the bearings and O-rings and such, and clips, all included in the kit. And the new hydraulic lifters to get rid of the old tensioner types. So it's a nice kit. So for any of you looking at trying to do this upgrade on your bike, you can piece things out. You can get some piece from Harley, or you can get it from Fueling and piece them all out. But this S&S kit is a nice kit that's complete and has everything that we need in there. So I think that you'll find for the couple extra dollars, it's high quality equipment and you're not searching out for parts later. The only thing extra that I'm going to get are some Fueling chains for the primary and the secondary chain that don't come with the kit, and I didn't think about that, so I just put a special order in this morning. They'll be here 2 days, and hopefully we'll still be on schedule and get this bike out to the other guys, hopefully in time for the weekend. Okay, so I'm getting excited about putting this in, so let's get at it. So as with many bikes and many people out there, I always suggest you should have a manual to check out everything that needs to be done to the bikes. And for you, I would suggest e-manuals online. They have millions of manuals online on all different things, not just Harleys, that'll help you rebuild your fridge, your stove, but primarily for your motorcycles is what I'm worried about. So with this model, we're going to go check e-manual online and see what we can find out. So we just head for e-manual online, which is what we're looking for, and we're just going to type in Harley, Harley, and it will pull you up 6,774 search results found for Harley Davidson. You can look here and pick out a manual that you might be interested in. Here's an 84 to 99 service manual. You can preview the file, and you can see that it shows you all the info in the file of a preview of what you might be looking for, so that you can breeze through and give you an idea of what you want. So we'll just look down there for our particular model, a 2000 to 2005.
And we're going to go down to chapter 4 and look at our engine specs. That's what we're looking for. So as we see here where we're getting ready to move the camshaft support plate, it tells you exactly what to do. Removal is number 1. Remove the exhaust system as described in chapter 7. Drain the oil as described in chapter 3. Remove the push rods and lifter covers as described in this chapter. And if you follow through, there's a nice picture of the camshaft covers and all the breakdown of all the parts that you need for there. As we look in here, we'll show you the kind of tools that you need to do the job. And here gives you a nice picture of exactly what you're looking at, how to use the tools, how to insert them, loosen bolt in the figure E in 224, securing the rear camshaft sprocket, remove the special tool, and remove the camshaft sprocket and bolt. So as you can see, it'll step you right through and show you exactly what you need to get that cam plate out and to install the new one. Having the manual to use will tell you exactly everything that you need in here to set up your cams and your camshaft plate and your support plate, how to take your measurements and to make sure to line up your cams, and all the information that you will need to service your bike and do what you need to get done. Be sure to check out eManual online for all your Harley-Davidson needs or anything else, but definitely the Harley-Davidson is what we deal with. So you can see that there's a wide variety of models and books available for you. So surely you can find exactly what you need here at eManual online.
So the first thing we're going to do is take the seat off, and we're going to disconnect the battery. You can't have any chance of it doing anything when you're working on it. And a small 10mm wrench should do it. So we're just going to unhook the negative. We'll just stick our screw back in here and make sure it doesn't get lost, and make sure that there's no chance of that terminal making contact with anything as you're working. And next we need to get the floorboards off. We have to pull the floorboard off to get the front pipe off so that we can get the cover off. So with a little 7/16 wrench on the nut and a 1/4 inch socket, Allen key. And I always keep small little containers like this to keep all your nuts and bolts in. That way nothing gets lost down the road, and when it comes time for assembly again, you know that the parts haven't been strewn across the bench or anything. It's always the little things that get lost. Okay. Now this one's is the bugger to get at. So we've also got this loosened up here, and you can use a tool something like this to get up in behind. It's hard to see it, and it's a very tight little spot in there, but take your time, you can get it. 9 times out of 10 these things are usually loose anyway because somebody can't get up at them to tighten them, so. But that's the next thing. Next we're going to get the front exhaust off, and I've got this great little socket set that I suggest is handy for everybody. It looks like a regular extension, but when you pop it open, it'll extend out to various different lengths, and it's skinny, so I can actually get in. It's usually a pain to get at that one, but with this little skinny tool, I can usually reach in there and undo them and tighten them. For the final tighten, I can put a little wrench on it if I want, just to make sure. But at this point of the game, this is what we need. Probably gonna have to undo the heat shield. Gonna have to loosen that heat shield all up in order to get at that top nut in there. They always interfere. So I'm gonna go along and do that, and I'll come back to you. Sometimes you got to check around with your exhaust and get that off. Depending on the manufacturer, they could be attached in different sorts of places, or you will have to take the heat shields off to get at the front bolts in here, or things like that. So carefully look it over. I suggest if you are duals, or like these are independent duals, take the mufflers off first while everything is attached solidly, and that'll give you a good solid map to try and wiggle the mufflers some to get them off. They can be a bit of a bear at times trying to get off. So if you've loosened everything else up, then everything wants to move. So keep your things tightened up, get those mufflers off first, then go along, take the heat shields off, loosen them off, and remove the exhaust as necessary. All right, So now these ones have all these little caps on here. Not my favorite things, but if you put a small screwdriver just in behind them a little bit and pry them just ever so slightly, they'll usually pop off. Unless they've been siliconed heavily, which they do suggest to do. Just take your time and work them. That one's broken. There's one missing down here. So we'll try to put the best up top where you see them. That's about all we can do. Also going to take the breather off at this time to get it out of our way. We're going to cut off the pushrod tubes and pull them out. But this gives you a lot more room to work with there. So we'll get the cam cover screws out. And as we see in the 99 and 2000s and up, there's a sensor plate, a timing plate. We have to be very careful of this, and this goes out and through the cover. So when we take the cover off, we have to be careful, very careful to set it aside and not hang it by the wires. We'll either tie wrap it up here or do something with a piece of wire and get it so that the pressure is not on the wire and on the sensor itself. Now we're just going to break these loose. And you just want to put a little bucket or something underneath of this to make sure that you catch the oil. I've pilfered one of my wife's big roast pans, I guess. Since there's only two of us, we don't use it very often, and she doesn't seem to be missing it, so I'm okay there so far. Check all around to see that we got them all. Then we'll give it a little tap with a rubber hammer. See if that's going to let it come off. Ah, we're lucky today. There we go. We're going to set this up in here. Try to get it out of our way as much as we can. And that'll keep it out of our way there. And we look to be pretty good in there. Well, I've got this up out of the way, but I've had to release the brake pedal and stuff, so I'm going to see if I can find a better place for it. So what we've done is gone around and taken our spark plugs out. Now we're going to put our bike in 5th gear. And we're going to be able, that way we're going to be able to roll it over and pay attention to where our push rods are going and get them in place. So we'll get the covers off. Got to loosen these all up. Sometimes these little rubbers will stick in there and they'll make it hard to move your push rods, so we just got to kind of get something under them, enough to get them up, get them started. That's the washer. So we'll get these all loosened up where we got them, and I'll come back. So we've taken the plugs out so that I can rotate the engine over by pulling on the back wheel. We put it in 5th gear, and that makes it easy to pull. Cut our push rods out, we have to determine that they're at the bottom of the stroke and that they're not under pressure. So what I've done is I just put a small clothespin here, and then when I go to the rear, I'm able to turn the bike over and watch the clothespin come up and down. There we go. And because it's come down now, I know that there's no pressure on this push rod at all, so we can go ahead and try to cut it out. We're going to take our bolt cutters here, and we're going to try to cut that. There we go. There we go. Kind of hard for an old fella. And we'll just take that one out. So, that's all there is to removing them. We're going to go along and we're going to do the same to all of the push rods, up and then down, and then cut them out there before we start to remove our plate, so that there's no pressure on the cams at all. Just use this little piece of wire to help keep it up out of the way. Take our little clothespin again and rotate the back tire. Up. You can see it going up now. And now it's down. There we go. Just give it a little wiggle there. And there we go. So I'll just go along and do the other ones and get them out, and then we'll come back. So now we're going to try to take our plate off. I've got this little tool, just a socket, that I cut out that would fit. It's a 13/16, and it fits right over that like that. We've also got a little tiny Allen screw. We're going to slide into the hole once we have it where we want it. Slide it on there like that until we can line the small hole up here. You can just slide that Allen key in there. And as you can see, these are getting worn here. So it is a good time to start thinking about replacing these things. There we go. Just going in there. Just tap it in there till it's seated. And we need a 1/2 inch, I think, to get at the other one down there. So now we've got this loose, and we've just got to get our top one there. Alright. Set that aside because we'll need that to tighten the bag up. And now we should be able to just take the unit right out. And we'll set it aside. So in our case, we're going to take the lifter blocks off, simply because I have new lifters going in, and I want to put new gaskets on there. So this is going to take me a little while, so I'm going to come back to you when I got them all off. So, all right, we've got everything out. We've got our lifters all out here. Took our lifter blocks out, and we've got all our gears off of here. So all we really got to do now is loosen up the screws to get them out. So we're just going to take a few minutes, get our cam plate off. So I was sitting on something there. When I pop these out, I'll be able to just put them in. I just want to loosen them up. Okay, let's see if we go wing them off. Get by there. And there we go. She's a little sticky there. There we go. She just comes out in one simple piece like that. We can pull the oil pump off. It's just stuck in the back in this O-ring, but it just pops right out. You just pull it out. It's not terrible. Even the back of the plate, not too bad on this. But we're going to replace it all. Doesn't look too bad. It's just normal wear there, but you can't feel hardly anything there. Little spot there, but the bearings are in there in one piece still, so that's a good thing. So this is my little unit for keeping everything in place. It's just when you get around to making some things, sometimes you get the itch and you think, well, why not? So this was just a little thing that would hold everything there for taking the lifters out and stuff. I also have one for taking all the rocker boxes off and all that sort of stuff, and it just keeps it organized, kind of nice and kind of cool. I'm going to wire brush all these screws and stuff, so I'll know where each one goes once it's clean. And the only thing that would have to be done is that the lifters would have to be soaked in that before you're going to use them. So it holds all the lifter block, little hoo-haws. So there you go. Something to keep yourself organized. So sometimes I just can't help myself. I like to make things, and you know, when you get time to do it, that's the biggest thing. Get time to sit down and draw and measure it all out. And I probably could have bought something, you know, that would do the same sort of thing, but here I had a piece of like 14 gauge metal. I got Eleanor, you know, just got to draw it out and get that to use. So I've used them quite a bit. I've got them in blue and then I got a black one, which is kind of nice, and it's got the twin cam on the side there and PM cycles on this side. So they're a nice little unit. Keeps me organized instead of all little boxes and things like that. The little containers work well, but I just thought this was kind of neat for that. So hope you enjoy it. Alrighty, now it's time to start getting our cams into the plate. And I'm just waiting for some chains to come because I didn't have those. I thought I did, but I don't. And I don't like to put it all together, even though we're using the old sprocket and things like that. I like to put new primary drive chain and a secondary drive chain on there. We're going to use fueling products, which are good for that. So we're going to do that, and we'll move ahead. So I got a few more things I can do today while I'm waiting for parts. I've got this Jim's tool. This is a bearing puller for pulling out the cam bearings. So we're going to put that in and use it, and we're going to get them bearings out, and maybe if we've got time today we'll get the other ones in. So we'll get a little drip of oil on this, and then we got to try and get it in there. There we go. Just got to be careful with it. A little oil on the through shaft. There. We put this end in with the countersink in here so it'll pull the bearing out to it. Our washer. Oil on that. Nice to have it on it. It makes it a little harder to hang on to sometimes, but make sure that this is right in all the way. All right, see if I can get this off without my hands getting too much in the way. We basically just turn this in. And you can feel it as it's coming out. If you start to tighten it up and it tightens up rock hard, stop. There we go. It's pulled it out nice and clean. Bearing is inside the countersunk area. So we just get our little bearing just slides off the other side of that. And we shove it back in the hole. Carefully. There we go. Pin in. Push it all the way to the flywheels. This side in. There we go. So that's a great little tool. It's Jim's 1279-2. 1279-2 from Jim's. Well worth the money. You don't want to be dropping these little needle bearings down inside. And these are the awful Harley ones that if you look in there, there's actually like plastic sort of between each roller, it appears. And they're not the ones you want in there. Okay. Let's put the new ones in. So now we got things ready here, and I've got my own homemade sort of jigger here to install the bearings on there. These on here. Put a little bit of oil on there. And we get our new bearings here from S&S. And these bearings have a numbered side, just like most of them, and a rounded side. And we want to take the numbered side, and that's what we want to press on. So we'll put that on, some oil out around them. Oops, come on. So I had to take a second to go wire wheel some of these screws off. A lot of Loctite on them and such. And I don't want to be screwing them in there with old Loctite on them. For the minute it takes. Okay. Now I've got a little cutout in there so we can watch and see what's going on when I get close. Take my light here. Should be close. And I just start those in there. And I can see inside that it's going right in and there's no bind. I suppose you could tap them in like we do on the Evos sometimes, but this plate gets them in there nice and straight. Go. Yeah, that should do it. Okay. Should be able to just lift that out. Just sunk down just a tiny bit below the surface, so you know that they're in there where they should be. Nice. Yeah, we got everything pretty well ready to go now. It's been a great little plate. So now with that out of the way, all I gotta wait for is my new chains to come, and then we'll install the cams into the plate. I can't really do anything till I get the new chain, especially the inner one, the secondary one. So I have to wait for that. But we're down, we got our new bearings in, and we're ready to just start assembling and putting things back together. I always find that it's a lot easier to work with something that you have right there instead of having to, for my own use, to revert back to the computer going back and forth and back and forth. So I just took the time to print everything off in these, and then I'll have this for future references as well. So I suggest that you do that and put it in your little folder of special things like I have, and you'll always have it there. Okay, let's get at it. So now we're gonna go along and get our plate ready to be installed into the bike now that we have everything taken out. And the first thing we have to do is get these little pieces here ready to go onto our rear camshaft, and that'd be the one with the spline in it. What they do is supply you with these, a little O-ring, a flat washer, and we're just going to put a little bit of assembly lube on this. And what has to be done is this very, very small little rubber O-ring has to slide down over this very, very carefully. And you have to take your time because we don't want to overextend it and we don't want to break it. You just slide it down. So we've just got a little pick here, but just make sure to get it out and get it started. Just like that, very, very gently. There we go. We're making sure that we slide it down into the groove closest to the cam gears itself down here, so that's where it has to go. Again, with a little bit of lube on it. This little washer has to go down and center around that. You should be able to look at it, and that this little flat washer is right down against that surface and around that O-ring. So you have to make sure that that is centered properly. If you pinch the O-ring, if you don't have that down and you try to tighten it down and pinch the O-ring, you'll ruin the O-ring and that'll give you more problems. So we put the little race on. It goes on here. And we're going to use gear itself to start it, making sure it's lined up properly. Stick the bolt in it. Just start tightening it down like that. It's not a hard press. Once we've got it started on there, okay, we're gonna put it in our jaws. Put it in our plastic jaws here to hold it. Now that's gonna bottom out very quickly, because the gear will only go on there so far. And then we're just going to use one of the spacers that spaces the cam gear out. By using the gear going down on the spline, you know that you've got a nice even press there. Just line that up again. Double check that our washer is in place where it should be, and we continue to tighten it down until the race bottoms out on the washer at the bottom. And you just tighten it down there till it bottoms out, which it has. There we go. So now we have the race installed, and you can see that it's fitted nice there, and our bearing will go right on there where it's supposed to. So that's what we're looking for. Just take your time and be careful with that O-ring. It's non-replaceable. You can't buy it separately, so I keep a few of them on hand if I have them from an extra application, like when I get Andrews gears and they have that all installed. I keep the O-ring in the sleeve out of another one, so just in case. So the first thing we're going to do is just put a little bit of lube in here, just a little bit around the edges. Just help those bearings go in there a little bit. And we have to think of our plate like this. So our gear-driven cam, our one with the teeth, is on this side. So what we need to do is put this one in this way. And I'm just gonna give it a little tap to set it in there. I'll look and see if I'm squared up. Okay. Okay, we're a little bit high on one side, so it doesn't hurt, just give it a little tap. Just square it up there so you look like you're in there nice and square. And we need to press it right down to the shoulder, and the shoulder is solid here, so it'll press down to the shoulder fairly snug. 1-inch socket. And we just press it down in there till it bottoms out against the shoulder. There we go. Now we'll get our other one and we'll do the same thing. Now this one actually has numbers along the outside. So this is the side that you will actually press on. So once again, we'll just kind of tap it in there to get it squared to start with. And by putting the socket on it, you can get a pretty good visual of whether you're straight or not. Pretty square there. There, and that's it. Okay. I'm looking down in here and everything you can see around there, and it looks like it's seated in there good. All right, there we go. So the next thing to do now that we have our bearings installed is to install the retainer plate that holds the bearings in. This S&S one has little punches out in there kind of to make them fit. It will only go on one way. It will not go this way. It will only go on this way. So they say to put a little tiny bit of Loctite. On each screw. These are fine threads, so be very careful not to cross thread it. It should go in there nice and easy. And we torque these to 20 to 30 inch-pounds, they say. Just gonna go around evenly here before we final torque them. Down in there. Go. It's always a little bit scary, but if you set your wrench, you should be okay. There we go. Now we have those in place. So now we'll get ready to get our cams ready to press in. I notice on this back side of this, there's always a dark link, and I believe that link is supposed to go, although I've searched this morning and can't find it, but I'm sure it's supposed to face the cam plate itself. So what we need to do, we've put a little dot on the back side of these gears so that we can see it when they're together. So we need to sort of get it in position like that. And we can line it up looking at this side. You see we have our two little dots that are in here aligned. And if we flip it over, know if I can get the angle right, but our yellow dots are lined up in there. So this is the way we want to press these on here. Right like that. We've got our little tool like this, which we're going to put on the back side, and one hole's bigger than the other to allow for clearance when it goes on, like this. Some lube on there, some lube on these. All right. Unfortunately, my camera died there. I don't know whether I got it or not. But when you're putting this in, you have to make sure that this one is feeding down in there nice and easy and not just pressing this one in hard. They both have to kind of go down in there together, so you have to make sure that you're lined up in your tool underneath, and then that presses hard in there. Now I can check it. My yellow marks are visible. Where you want them there. And we can also tell that our marks on the outside here are lined up. So that's what we're looking for. Unfortunately, I think the camera died there, so we don't have it actually pressing in. But you get the idea by just using this little tool that has different size holes in it. The bigger one being for the spline shaft, go over, and this one right down in there. So you just take your time and press them in nice and easy. If you're pressing this and this one doesn't seem to want to go in, just let the pressure off. Try to feed it down through the gear a little bit and make sure that you're not off center in this a little bit on here. Other than that, they're all in there and they're good to go. Next we have to put our little retaining ring. Make sure that it's seated in there good, and it is, so we can turn it. Okay. And lastly, we install our hydraulic tensioners, new hydraulic type tensioners on here, which are a vast improvement from the other ones. I like the idea that they've upgraded it, but been able to bring you the hydraulic tensioners as well. I'm just going to turn that so I can see my dots. There. Okay. And we use the longer bolts here. They come with two bolts, a long one and a short one, and the short ones go for the front, and the longer ones on the rear here. And just watch that you don't push your cam up through. If you lay this flat, it'll want to push the cams up through. The roller cam. The other one won't move, of course, but the roller cam will want to push up through there, and if you pop it out and jam it, you'll be into a lot of trouble. There we are, 100 inch-pounds. There we go. There's the last double check again. Your little orange dots in there are lined up, as with the front face of the cam. Okay, so that's about it for getting this ready and getting your cams in. As I said, my camera messed up a little bit pressing it in, but you get the general idea of how to get them down through there. So stuff happens when you're trying to video, you're answering the phones and things are going on. But I apologize, and you get the idea. So if you enjoyed this video today, like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, do those kind of things. That helps our channel to grow. I hope you enjoyed this part 1 on installing the S&S kit for putting these cams and such in your bike. Please stay tuned for part 2 as we'll finish the job up and we get to hear the thing running and a big smile on the face from the customer who's got it.